Thank you for joining me, Dave. Can you please let people know what you do and how long you've been working in the education sector for?
So I'm Dave Wood. I work for Morgan Sindall and I'm responsible for the work we do across the DfE contractors frameworks. I've been doing this role now for 6 years, which it's quite an interesting role because it puts me in a privileged position because obviously Morgan Sindall's broke up into, it's decentralised and broken up into regional businesses. They are tailored around serving the communities and the clients that they serve. And what that enables me to do is step in, support them in what they're doing. They support me with what I'm doing with central government. And we manage to take all the lessons learned from all of them and share them with around our business and with other industry and clients. Going as far back as probably the 90s is when I joined the education sector, when I was an apprentice bricklayer. That's my first introduction when I found myself on a school site. And between the two roles, I was in pre-construction for 10 years, which is where I've sort of found my true love for the reward you get from the education sector.
Thank you, Dave. And so we'll jump in with the first question, which has been left by Paul Turpin from Arcadis. Paul asks you, if we are to create greater legacies for towns and cities, we need to focus as much on what a development does rather than just its cost and procurement. So, how do you think architects can help in bringing more to the process to make it successful for everybody?
Thanks, Paul. It's a very difficult question because I think trying to put responsibility onto one piece of a very complicated jigsaw is probably unfair. I personally would like to see a more collaborative approach between designers, clients, end users and contractors and get involved sooner. I think bringing the contractor in at briefing stage and tapping in and harnessing that local community knowledge and the stuff that's obtained through some of the social value work we do, the extensive supply chain networks we've got will enhance any brief with a greater focus on social value, economic targets, social environmental needs, and then the project brief will ensure that we are leaving a much greater legacy, not just a built asset. It would enable the industry to be more holistic for the requirements of each development rather than just this traditional employment and skills plans.
Thank you, Dave. And Paul, hopefully that answers your question for you. So on to our next question, which is sort of more about sort of the projects you've been involved in and your team. So in terms of the recent education projects you've done, or not so recent actually, as the case may be, what are you kind of most proud of and why?
I have to pick one. We've done what? I mean, stats: 54 primary schools, 49 secondary schools, 16 SCNDs, 11 colleges, and 21 universities, all at different stages last year alone.
Crumbs, that's a lot. Well done.
So, if you pushed me for an answer, I'd probably have to say I'm most proud of the projects that I feel are making a real difference. There was one project at Morley College that we did under the DfE's 2017 framework. That was a college right in the heart of the community that was impacted by the Grenfell Tower tragedy. The college was also underperforming and was due to fail. The local community, along with some campaign groups such as Grenfell United and Friends of Grenfell, they all got together and started campaigning so the college provision wasn't lost. I think to have contributed just the smallest positivity into that community at that time was probably something I'll always be proud of. Other than that, I'm really proud of the stuff we do, the research and development stuff for the environmental. So we're working with DfE on also Special Education Needs School, which is a retrofit project to passive houses NFIT standards. We've got Trentview College, which is a passive house pathfinder scheme with DfE again, which is a further education establishment for children with profound special educational needs. And that had a hydrotherapy pool, some specialist vocational training spaces, and that was again done to passive house standards, which was quite unique and challenging. And then another project that I'm quite proud of would be Buntingford First School, which was Hertfordshire's first net zero school, put in embodied and operational.
Thank you. And I guess to check out further these projects, look at morgansindallconstruction.com. We'll put in the chat functions a link to that, so do check those out. And also, if you're coming to Education Estates, Dave and the team have a fabulous stand, so do pop by and say hello to them on the stand, and we'll talk a little bit more about what you're doing later on your stand and the public sector lunch that you're going to be hosting on day one as well. So thank you for that in terms of those projects. The next question I've got is about kind of the challenges that we as an education sector face, and I kind of wanted to ask your opinion of kind of what you think are the biggest challenges that the sector faces, and why we face those.
Okay, quite an interesting time to ask the question, but I think the sector's still suffering a bit of uncertainty. So coming out of probably the two post-negative impactful things that I think have happened to the industry in my lifetime, being Brexit and the COVID pandemic, we're still feeling the effects of that. Just as we're coming out of that, we're finding ourselves in a turbulent global and political landscape. Changes being introduced with the Building Safety Act, and the Procurement Act changing, resource getting diverted to RAAC crisis, all that has sort of impacted the efficient delivery and the pipeline more than anything. The only other thing I would probably say that has all created uncertainty around inflation pressures because of that turmoil. It does appear to be stabilising, but we're still suffering legacy. I don't think we've seen the last of casualties in the market from the supply chain, which is unfortunate, and it's something we need to try and work together to avoid and manage.
Perfect. No, thank you. And on the flip side, kind of what are the opportunities that we face as a sector, and why?
I think we're definitely seeing the end. I think there's definitely a more positive buzz around the industry at the minute. We're starting to see contracts getting awarded easier, procurements are coming to market easier. There's an increase in pipeline activity. The commitments by DfE to the SRP programme, they offer a real opportunity of certainty of pipeline to encourage the private sector to invest in areas desperately needed, such as the skills shortage, design for manufacturing assembly, and general innovation. We could also use that to collaborate and do things better as an industry as well, I think.
Dave, so in terms of Morgan Sindall and your team, how big is the education team at Morgan Sindall?
So I work in a team of 12 that deliver the central framework functions, but then we're heavily supported by the teams within each of our decentralized business units. The education sector is huge for us. I think we turned over last year just shy of £1 billion, and 545 million of that was allocated to education work. So it is a big important sector for us, one we take serious, one we invest research and development in, and one that we continually look to improve.
And as a main contractor, is it fair to say that you kind of cover the whole spectrum, to kind of a primary school, secondary, colleges, universities, so you do the whole breadth of education sector delivery?
Yeah, so when we talk about education, we're talking about everything other than student accommodation, although student accommodation is a huge part of it. When we're talking about our numbers, we don't include that. So I know some do include student accommodation, so if you did, it would only increase that commitment to the education sector.
Okay, thank you. And I'm going to ask you now about, in your opinion, about Education Estates. You've been with us an incredibly long time, and you helped shape the programme, judge the awards, and always do a great job with your stand. And we'll talk a little bit about that after this question, in terms of what you'll be showcasing on the stand this year. But in terms of yourself and your team's opinion, what would attendees get out of coming to Education Estates, and why should they visit your stand at Education Estates?
Okay. Probably the best way to answer that is to explain what I get out of attending Education Estates. So I get to meet like-minded industry experts who share my passion for the education sector. But it's all away from day-to-day distractions, which I think is really important that we get that opportunity. I get the opportunity to be informed about where the sector's heading, learn from the lessons I learned from some of our peers, and share some of our lessons that we've learned, because it's important that we stay at the forefront of an ever-changing sector. As an exhibitor, we get to showcase the work that the colleagues, our clients, and I are extremely proud of. So we'll be looking forward to exhibiting again. We are sharing our lessons learned on the Buntingford Net Zero Carbon School that we built for Hertfordshire, Herefordshire, sorry, on one of the conferences.
Okay, and you last year you did it for the first time with us. You hosted a public sector lunch on day one. You're doing that again this year. So those in the public sector that would like to network with yourself and the team and have a complimentary lunch, they can hit your stand from 1 till 2 on day one. You will obviously mention other things you're doing on the stand, so do pop by and see Dave and the team. They've always got a friendly face, and they actually. You'll see their stand on a lot of our images from last year because it's a beautiful looking stand. And when you look back across the hall and you've got the arch framing education estates, you'll see the Morgan Sindall stand on the left. So I look forward to seeing your stand this year and what yourself and the team deliver. In terms of you, Dave, obviously you're really well known, particularly amongst your peer group and those that attend education estates. But for those that don't know you that well, could you let people know a little bit about yourself that they might not know already?
Oof. I'm not sure there's a lot people won't know about me. I'm not known for my subtlety or being quiet about things or my sporting allegiances or anything like that. The only thing that I don't probably talk about a lot because I don't see the relevance to the here and now. But in my early days of my career, alongside my day job, I did fulfil one of my other passions on a part-time basis. I spent 6 years in the reserve forces with the Royal Electrical and Mechanical Engineers, which was interesting.
And thank you for your service that you did for the country as well. So my next conversation is with Matt Isherwood from Barker. So you get to ask Matt a question now. So what question would you like me to put to Matt during the conversation?
Obviously Matt spent a large portion of his career as an estates director for a trust. He's now working with a consultancy, so he's probably got quite a unique view of the sector. So I would like to know from his perspective what he believes the biggest challenge to decarbonising the education estate is, having been responsible for one previously and now being a consultant.
I shall put that question to him, and that is a very big question for you, Matt. So let's see how he gets on. Dave, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for all that you do for us, and I look forward to seeing yourself and the team at Education Estates in October. And do pop by the attendees listening to this to their stand, and we look forward to seeing you all there.
Great. See you all there.